Hello, my name is Jesus Manuel Miranda Montero. I'm studying the master degree in English teaching at IEX University. This video is related to strategy instruction. Um, as we saw in previous chapters, we spent a lot of time learning in detail the nature of learning strategies, the processes and strategies when we talk about language acquisition. Um, we have to know that the development of learning strategies uh, is not to teach students new content, new topic, but is about training them in order to make them acquire new skills that once that they learned it, they can use it to other situations, you know. It is also important to make sure or to mention that that strategy instruction is not about teaching all students how to use exactly the same learning strategy because not all students have the same way of learning something, you know. So strategy instruction is about helping students to develop their own strategy use so as to make them more effective learners. There are also other students that do not know exactly how to learn a topic, how to start studying something new. And when they see a student that is in an advanced level, what they do is to acquire the or to copy someone else's strategy use, which sometimes could could be could be worst because they do not have the same knowledge as other people. So strategy instruction help learners become more active, more autonomous, more self-directed, and also make them know what strategies are best for learners. As I mentioned, strategy instruction is about helping students to develop their own strategy use so as to make more effective learners. And here, the slide, as you can see, uh, it's what I mentioned about less successful students that they copy other strategies from advanced students. But we we are going to move on. And so why use strategy instruction? Why strategy instructions is important? Well, as it says here on the slide, strategy instruction and enhance procedural knowledge, uh, have help us have success in language learning and enhance motivation, of course, and to know how, when, and what strategies can be used to achieve second language acquisition goal. What do we mean with all of this? Strategy instruction is um, one way to work with procedural knowledge. Sometimes we see some adults that are language phobic, or they do not have experience talking with somebody else, or they do not feel motivated. So what a teacher have to do is to make them gain more procedural knowledge in order to deflect negative things or influences, and to begin experience better opportunities. Well, also, as the second point on the slide says, to have success in language learning and enhance motivation. What do we mean about this? Well, success is closely linked to motivation, and it's well seen that the successful use of learning strategies could lead to success in language learning, and this also uh, will enhance motivation. We have to know that having access to the appropriate strategies should lead students to higher expectations of learning success, uh, where motivation, as I mentioned before, it is very important. Teaching students how to develop their individual strategy systems and a strategy training, it's required to help students explore other ways in which they can learn uh, the language they are learning more effectively, and as well to make them evaluate themselves in order to see what they are doing good, and and uh, and all of that stuff. Um, well, and now we are going to talk about strategy instruction in the classroom, questioning the effectiveness of strategy instruction. In this part of the reading, we found two critiques. You know, we found two critiques from two researchers. One is that compensation strategies for dealing with gaps in vocabulary, for example, knowledge might simply waste of time. But what do we mean about this? What do we mean about this statement? Kellerman, who was the author of this critique, said that the problem is not that students don't know how to transfer or how to use the strategies from the mother tongue to the second language. The thing here is that they do not have the linguistic competence to use the strategy effectively, or they are limited um, because they do not have the required knowledge or capacity. And the second critique um, was carried out by Jenny Ress-Miller. She said that there is insufficient research to claim strategy instruction is wholly effective. Um, what What did she try to explain about this? Well, that there are no enough investigations that says that strategy instruction is a good way or a better way to help students uh, learn and acquire new knowledge. And also she mentioned that there are some factors that complicates uh, the learning training process, and those could be cultural differences, age, educational background of students and teachers' beliefs about language learning and other stuff. But uh, those points of view were only some critiques. After this, um, two other authors decided, or not decided, they established a framework of a strategy instruction. And we are going to see the next slide. Here, strategy instruction frameworks. Well, as I mentioned, the two authors, Chamot and Rubin in 1994, outlined a broad approach that making strategy instruction effective involves all of these points of view. This framework was made up due to the critiques that we saw before. And well, as it says here, this framework is about discovering and discussing strategies that students already use for specific learning tasks, presenting new strategies by explicitly naming and describing them, modeling strategies, explaining why and when strategies can be used, providing extensive practice. They settled uh, this this framework that is in the right left, as you can see. And well, now we are going to review about teaching material for strategy instruction. As it says here, strategy instruction materials exist in a variety of formats, and as we know, there are certain and many different uh, materials we can use in order to teach, to show students new information, new topics, and new strategies also. We have here the three more important that we saw in the reading, that that are course books. Those include sections which supposedly develop learning strategy use. We we see course books in the in all English levels at elementary, secondary, high school. We always have to follow course books. We always follow certain rules. Uh, of course, we complement this with other strategies, because if not, this would be boring for students. And next, we have a specific learning strategy instruction. Those are activities which encourage learners to reflect on their own strategy use. And finally, we see self-directed strategy instruction materials. This is related to students working alone rather than in a class with a teacher. Those students are the ones that prefer to acquire knowledge alone. Well, they like to learn in a different way, in other space. They feel comfortable being alone, like me, for example. And well, and in the next slide, we find about teaching metacognitive strategies. What about teaching metacognitive strategies is, we see here another taxonomy created or established by O'Malley and Chamot. This is about planning, directed attention, selective attention, self-management, self-monitoring, problem identification, and self-evaluating. But we have to know that there is a lot of information that make emphasis on cognitive and metacognitive strategies. Cognitive strategies involve interacting with the material that is going to be learned, the manipulation of this material, if it is mentally or physically, and applying a specific technique to learn the task. And metacognitive strategies involve thinking about the learning process, planning for learning, monitoring a learning task, and finally evaluating how well this task has been learned. Those concepts are both related. Metacognitive knowledge refers to knowledge of one's own cognitive processes. And O'Malley and Chamot also mentioned that metacognitive strategies are not necessarily qualities to be stable with metacognitive knowledge. This could change due to the age, because a teenager is not going to learn same way as a 30-year-old person, you know? And well, we are going to move on the next slide. That is about teachers and strategy instruction. Well, here in the reading, we found that there are two general components. Teachers need to understand the learning process through learner eyes, and that teachers need to change their strategies to assist learning strategy development among students. As we know, strategy instructions are necessary and beneficial for learners. There is a lot of materials to make the teachers develop their job easier when teaching. But we have to know that even if teachers are fully aware of the nature and use of learning strategies themselves, sometimes they will be unable to effectively help their students. So, first, teachers need to understand the learning process through the learner eyes, as it says here, and they need to to think as if they were students. They need to see what a problem could be, and they need to change their strategies in order to help students um, learn in a better way. Also, we see here that according to GCOS, teachers could be categorized as assimilators, middle grounders, and resistors. The assimilators are the ones who effectively adapt their teaching practice to promote strategy instruction. The middle grounders are those who manage the conceptual shift to a certain extent, but not entirely. And the resistors are those who were unable to let go of a transmission model of teaching. Uh, those are the categories of teachers according to JICOS. And well, we're going to move on to the next slide. We found here also that Cohen in 1998 identified a number of sub-roles of teachers as change agent, diagnostician, learner, trainer, coach, coordinator, language learner, and finally the researcher. All of those concepts are very important because a teacher can't be only just one person that go to the classroom and shows a topic and something like that. No, a teacher could be more than that. Uh, I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening here. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm having problems. Well, I will have to continue. Right. Well, yes, we already reviewed about this, and we were here, but we are going to finish this with my proposal. Well, finally, my proposal. As the activity request a proposal, uh, I found that memory circle game for my students that are teenagers could be a good idea. This is uh, a good activity in order to develop a learning strategy. And well, the this is a game and consists, as it mentions, also of a memory circle game. And it's a fun way to help students remember names or English vocabulary. This is a game that will work good with a small group of students, at maximum 10 students, younger students, elementary school or kindergarten students. Well, to set up the memory circle game, we need to make a rule about what kind of words or grammar the students can use, based, of course, on the topic that they are reviewing in that day of class. In this case, I am going to use the animals vocabulary. This this game is going to be applied to secondary schools students. They are in the first grade, and the group is about 11 students. And well, I am going to apply this as it says here. First, the students have to stand up in a circle. The first student says an animal like lion, and then the next student we have to repeat the first animal that the partner already said, that in this case is going to be a lion, and he is going to say, for example, crocodile. And the third student is going to say lion, crocodile, and zebra, and so on. And it goes from right to the left until the student can remember, and they have to sit down. The last one stand up, win a prize, and this is the game about. And I hope that all works well. And well, I am going to develop this activity, and I am going to share the results in the next activity. I hope that all of this exposition, I hope that this exposition is clear, that you have a better understanding about learning strategies. Well, we are seeing on maybe a next video. Well, this is all for me, and goodbye.